Let's see what we got. This one gonna be crazy. This is some crazy news. And by the way, it's a fight that, like, not that people. I'm gonna say my opinion until people start rolling in here, start dropping their. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna save it until people really start coming into the chat. I got some hot takes right here. For real, hot take. I mean, when I say hot take, I mean I got a lot of them. We can talk about a lot of different things, honestly. But this fight, I'm gonna take it for what it is. I'm gonna take it. People are gonna act like they don't care about it, but out of everything going on, I'm gonna take it. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. If you're a boxing fan, you in here already. Or if you follow the sport of boxing for what it is, the one viewer we have, what's going on, you can kind of see the topic behind us. Feel free to chime in for sure. What do you think of it? Do you agree with it? Do you like it? Is this a fight you want to see? Chat don't work? Hold on. Oh, chat don't work? Hold on. Let me re-go live. Hold on. I think I know why chat don't work. I can fix it. Hold on. Chat filter. All right, try now. Is that Greg Hackett? What's up, Greg? How are you? Is that Greg? Philly champ in the building, Greg Hackett. Listen, short hot take, because we're going to talk about Boots Ennis. And I've said it, so timeout. Because I wanted to talk about Boots Ennis first, but I was like, this is more relevant. But I'll say this with this fight. I'll say this about this fight. They have, with everything going on in boxing, the world of boxing and all that bullshit, the influencers of Jake Paul, this is a matchup I'll actually take. Facts. Let's keep it for what it is. Is it too late? Sure. Do people not give a fuck about it? Yes. But like I said, for everything going on in the world of boxing with influencers, the Jake Pauls, the Aiden Ross stuff, celebrity, but like all this other stuff they got that's just like not quote unquote like the real boxers, fuck it. This is the type of matchup I'll take and see. Everyone, how many 50 million viewers to watch Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson to get the same outcome that we already knew what was going to happen. This is the type of matchup I'll take. Because you know what? Manny Pacquiao actually didn't look half bad against Mario Barrios. That fight said a lot more about Mario Barrios as a current world champion than letting somebody who's 5 years, retired, all that, like, kind of go a distance with him. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is a fight where it's like, fuck it. If you want to make all these dream matchups happen, these influencer matches happen, I'm taking this type of matchup. Fuck it. Bring boxing back. You know what I'm saying? This is a fight where it's like, you know what? I'll watch it. I'll watch them fight again. Maybe we get a different outcome. I'm not going to say Pacquiao's out here going to win, but Floyd out here doing all these retirement, what is it? Versus John Gotti, what's it called? Exhibitions for about what? A couple million? 10 million a fight? All right, cool. For a legend to go do exhibitions, this is the type of fight I'll take for him to see. You know what I'm saying? This is like, okay, this is an announcement I'm not mad at. It keeps boxing alive. First of all, boxing's not even dead. I hate to hear talk like boxing's in the, when Gillian Wallow interviewed Stephon Fulton and Oshaki Foster said, boxing's in the weird spot. Let me tell you something. Boxing's actually kind of popping right now. Fights are actually being made. He's saying people won't fight nobody. You know who really won't fight? People won't fight Boots. That was going to be the analogy I was going to make. Because people won't fight Boots. So for Oshaki Foster to say, like, fights aren't really happening, I don't know, because some big fights happen over the past few years. Like, I'm talking year after year, there's a big fight that happens and shit hits the waves. So he's kind of wrong for saying, but people won't fight a guy like Boots. Now, that's a fact. And a guy like Boots would get wrong, a wrong look, and people be like, oh, he ain't fight no one. He ain't do that. No, motherfuckers ain't gonna fight him. Either he is too young and intimidating and dangerous of a fighter for you to risk your shit against him, or you should fight him, but you know he's gonna mess you up. Brian Norman sold out to fight Devin Haney. All right, cool. And then he's gonna do an interview about train with, be friends with, or fight. And he's like, I want to fight all of them. I want to fight all of them. Give me all of them. I want to motherfucker, you wasn't gonna fight Boots to save your life. Shut the fuck up. You know you weren't. You know you weren't. You could have done it to unify. Instead, you sold out. People are gonna talk money's not right. That's a whole nother thing. I get it, money, all that stuff. But for real, that's where that boot take comes from. Because Barrios sold out to fight this guy and then get a draw, nonetheless. Be the first world champion in the history of boxing to get back-to-back draws. Shit. If I'm the WBC, if I'm Marco Suleiman, take the belt from him. Take it. Never mind. I ain't going to curse. We'll go back to the topic on hand. Like I said before, this fight, for what it is, at face value, I'll take it. In the world where all these influencers and all this other stuff keeps popping up, I'm taking a fight like this. Because right now, fights are being made. Fights are happening. This is going to be a lot better than the Mayweather-Tyson, that random-ass fight that they were trying to do. That was getting talked about. That was getting sold about. This is a way better matchup. Is it too late? Sure. If it happens, it happens. Who cares? It's still a better matchup than half the other stuff they're trying to force feed. You know what I'm saying? He said, who is Boots? You don't know who Boots Ennis is? Oh, come on, cuz. This is what I'm talking about. Boots will fight Virgil Ortiz. Yeah, he's going to fight Virgil Ortiz. He's going to win. He's going to roll over him. Boots Ennis is going to roll through the 154 division. Facts. Xander Zayas won't touch him with a 10-foot pole. He won't. I think there's a couple stallouts again that would rob Boots of becoming undisputed. I don't think Xander Zayas will step to him. I think Boots will go claim the WBA from, I can't even pronounce that dude's name, so I'm just going to leave it at that. The IBF dude already made a statement on fighting him, so there's that. I think Fedor will fight. Fedor will fight anybody. I think Xander Zayas could be the only stall out, honestly, truthfully. But Boots will make a statement against Virgil Ortiz. He won't convince a lot of people because people like to hate, and boxing is such an opinionated sport to where, like, people won't say it even though they should. They just find everything to say otherwise anyway. But Boots will have a big 2026. And he's going to shock a lot of people. Jermell Charlo won't fight him. He wants Crawford. But he won't fight him. That's a good fight. But Charlo don't bring nothing for Boots. Boots should just be fighting the world champs at this point. He should just be fighting the world champions. And what boxing should do, what they really kind of don't do until it's too late, the same way they make the champs fight their mandatories or fight these guys, or they should also, and they probably do this to an extent for real, and maybe it's something I also really kind of don't know on the full back end, but it happens enough times for me to say it. They should make it mandatory for them to unify 100%. 100%. I will forever go down saying Boots got robbed of undisputing the welterweight division. I will forever say that to my deathbed. He got robbed. He should have fought Barrios. He should have fought Norman. And it's not because he didn't want to. And it's not because he wouldn't. Both parties want to make it. And I refuse to say it's because, you know what I'm saying, that it was Boots who's probably was like, nah. Now, I could be wrong. But that man took a pay cut to fight, what was it, Stanionis? So, come on, man. I think he got robbed. But whatever. I think these sanctioning buy-ins need to make it more mandatory for them at some point. Maybe not in that year, but within a year or two, you have to unify some sanction. So if you're in the WBA and you're the world champ, you have got to unify against the WBC, WBO, or IBF within this timeline. Or you risk vacating your belt. Think about how many world champions we see that are world champion, but stall out from unifying, fighting the other world champion in that division. Like, come on, cuz. Now, I didn't say that first year. I'm saying within a 2 or 3 year period, you have to make X amount of defenses, and one of the defenses has to be unification bout. Now, let's say you lose the belt sooner. All right, well, that's a different story. The belt goes on, but it's the same deal for that world champion because someone's going to carry the strap for a while. Someone's going to carry the strap. So it's like, I think that would make more fights pressing to come. I think that makes more fights pressing to come. Because boxing has a stacked card right now coming up. They got Eubank and Ben too. They got, David Benavidez, I think, is fighting. They got Jesse Rodriguez. I think Jesse Rodriguez is one of the most exciting fights coming up. I think Jesse Rodriguez, in his division, I think for him as a fighter, I think Jesse Rodriguez is the most underrated fighter right now who's not getting talked about, but is really good. And he's fighting for 3 belts. He has a unification, I think. I think Jesse Rodriguez is one of the better matchups I like coming up. Exciting fights, like fights I want to see. I think Jesse Rodriguez is a good fight coming up. That's not really talked about. But boxing has a stacked card. Boxing has a stacked lineup coming up. Mayweather beats Pac. Ryan, Pac is better. Wait, what? You just say Mayweather's going to beat Pac, but Pac-Man's better? I'm confused on that. Now listen, Darion, you might have just joined, but what I'm saying is, this fight, I'm not mad at being made. Is it too late? Absolutely. Do people really not give a crap? Maybe. But here's why it actually makes sense, and here's why I'm like okay with this fight. Because look at all the other influencers that are fighting. Look at all the Jake Paul stuff. I'm taking this fight 10 times over 10 over Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul. Facts. Anyone trying to sell me on that fight, I'll probably watch it because I'm bored. And as a degenerate, I might just put money on it because why not? But I'm saying this. I take this fight over fights like Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, or any of these other influencer matchups every day of the week. Ryan Garcia versus Manny Pacquiao is a better idea. No. I mean, I get where you're coming from, but you got to think Ryan Garcia just lost to a guy like Rolly. So it's like a fight you were really supposed to win, you weren't expected to lose, and you didn't have a great performance at all. It wouldn't make sense. It really wouldn't make sense. You know, that fight, it's like it's not there. Now Devin Haney for Ryan Garcia, obviously. That's obvious. Or, anyone else, but Manny Pacquiao? No. And again, this fight would really only happen because Pacquiao won his back, fought Barrios. And I wouldn't say back like he's back and going to keep boxing, but he's boxing, right? And then you fought Mayweather. And these are the 2 best of their generation. So if anything, this one can really this one could be a good matchup, worth watching compared to what other fights you're getting. You got to hear what I'm saying. I'm not saying this is the best matchup made. I'm saying this is a good compared to what other ones we're getting. Especially with this influence. It's going to be an exhibition money heist. I mean, we'll see what happens with the rules, but, I wouldn't see both fighters opposed to actually fighting. I wouldn't say it would be an exhibition. Maybe. Who knows? But like Floyd fights exhibition, sure. But like Pacquiao's done a couple, but Pacquiao came back to really box. I feel like Pacquiao would make the claim to make it a real fight. The only way it happens is if Floyd would agree to that. So the fact that's already out there, I think it'll go for both records. They're both right there. I think it'll go for both records. As can Manny beat Rolly? Manny can beat Rolly. Because Rolly's too awkward. Manny got hit a little bit too much by Mario Barrios, but Manny can beat Barrios. Or not Barrios. He did beat Barrios, actually. Hold on, time out. That draw was a robbery. That draw was a robbery for sure. But we already said our opinion on why we think it was a draw, all that stuff. But Manny could beat Rolly. He shouldn't, hopefully he doesn't get caught by Rolly. Rolly has power, so I don't want to disrespect Rolando Romero. But for boxing IQ, his ring IQ, the ability to move around, and he's still a little quick, I think he can still beat Rolly, especially if, That fight against Ryan Garcia wasn't even as competitive. It's like, yeah, man, I think Manny Pacquiao, Manny can't get touched, and Manny gets touched a little bit. Well, I can't say a little bit. He's older, right? So I can't disrespect him in that regard. But against Barrios, he got touched a little bit, and Barrios wasn't sharp at all. Barrios was not a world champion fighter in that fight. Not at all. I don't care what he was thinking. I don't care if he was trying to hold back. I don't care if all that. What you displayed was not world champion, bottom line, period, facts. Yeah, big robbery. Manny Pacquiao is the beast. No, it was a robbery, man. I don't think, listen, I don't think Manny Pacquiao really had intentions on keep fighting. Mario Barrios was a good fight. It was a safe fight. It was the right fighter who's a world champion to come back to the sport and fight, if you get what I'm saying. It really wasn't the most dangerous threat for Pacquiao. Like, he's not going to come back in like in that division at 147. Well, Brian Norman versus Devin Haney was already like made, right? Boots already vacated. He wasn't going to fight Boots. You're not going to come back and fight Boots. And by that time, you kind of already vacated the belts. It was the right guy. It was, good championship fight. Exciting to see Manny Pacquiao come back. But I'll tell you what, he won. He won. And I'll tell you this: if you're the world champion, yes, if it goes the distance, the other side has to do enough, look good enough to win. But on the contrary, if you're a current world champion and you fight a fight where you really don't look good at all and it goes the distance and you pros the argument, people might argue, oh, well, if it goes the distance and it's close, I got to give it to the champion. But I'm like, did he fight like a world champion fighter? Did he? Because in that fight, Barrios did not. Did not. Against Ramos, he fought back, but like against this fight, he did not, man. Yeah. Yeah, I think Pacquiao got robbed. But like I said, we also said our opinions on the last thing, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse on that one. All I'm saying is this fight is a good matchup for at face value for what it is in boxing. I think there's more exciting fights going to come. I think the best fight to be made now, especially after that first round knockout, is honestly Crawford versus Boots. Crawford versus Boots. Let's be honest. We could have had that matchup at welterweight, but Terrence Crawford moved up very quick, went right to 154 and beat Madrimov. But I think now it's still a fight that makes sense and can do a big draw. It can do a big draw. I think that fight is it. Charlo wanting Crawford is cool. Crawford probably going to fight him is cool, but like Charlo's chasing a bag. That's a money chasing fight. That's a money grab fight. Charlo don't got nothing. He's not undefeated no more. He don't have a title. Crawford already won in that division. That's a cash grab fight, especially for Charlo. If Crawford going to come back and fight anyone in that division, Boots. Boots is the guy. There's history there. From welterweight. That was the number one contender. That's the fight that can make sense, but you have to pay Crawford a bag. Obviously, Boots got to get paid a bag. But I'll tell you what, Boots is very young and very dangerous for a guy like Crawford, especially with the legacy he has. If you ask me, Terrence Crawford should retire after Canelo. Not because he doesn't have nothing left. Not because he's not a good boxer anymore. He's too old. None of that. I think he perfectly eclipsed the biggest feats in boxing in this point in time. What are you going to do? Just drop back down to middleweight and say, screw it, I'm bored. Let me claim a belt real quick? What are you going to do? Let me go beat Adames and take the WBC belt real quick? Goodbye. See ya. Deuces. And then become what? 6th division? Only 3-time undisputed in the 4-belt era, and you just beat the number 1 pound-for-pound best boxer in the world to become number 1 pound-for-pound great? And you jumped up 2 weight classes and defeat the odds? Yeah, man, I think Crawford should just retire. I think his legacy cemented. Yeah, you may not have Floyd's 50-0, the Marciano 49-0, but you solidified 41-0 at a very different setting, at a very different standard, if that makes sense. That record, man, it may not be like, oh, it's not Floyd, you didn't beat Floyd, cool, but what are you going to do, fight 9 other fights real quick just to tie it? You almost dilute the meeting, if that makes sense. You get what I'm saying? Be a best part of what I do. I don't want to start that Q&A. What? Mayweather vs. Pacquiao Pt2. Yeah, man, Mayweather vs. Pacquiao Pt2. It's in talks. It's in talks. Jake Paul can't beat Canelo and Crawford. Jake Paul can't beat no one in his division. Let me tell you this. Jake Paul does not care about Jake Paul as the fighter. He does not. What Jake Paul cares about, Jake Paul cares a lot more about Jake Paul as a promoter in MVP promotions than he does as the fighter. I'll say it like this. Jake Paul knows he can't really beat the big guys in his division. He can't beat Gilberto Ramirez. Like, he can't beat them guys. But what I can tell you is this. He gets the right fights and gets the right build-up and the marketing and the build, like just a build-up behind it. The money he makes, he can properly invest in MVP promotions. Jake Paul does not, I think he has the world fooled that he cares about being the boxer because it creates so much buy-in, and that's where you get so much of the money. But he takes that money and funnels it right through MVP promotions, and there's your women. There's where he's spotlighting women's boxing the most. I think it's because he used him as a fighter to leverage to build. God damn, let me slow it down. Him as the fighter built the platform for him and the foundation for most valuable promotions. So he could put on for like Amanda Serrano, Alicia Baumgartner, and all these female fighters. Look what Baumgartner's on the card for Jake Paul versus Tank. I think Jake Paul just has the world fooled. I wouldn't say fooled, man. Some people might pay attention to it, but it's talking points, it's narratives. People will so much keep talking about Jake Paul, but they buy into it. Marketing's there. The sales are there. The streams are there. It's like, okay, boom. Now the revenue he makes, he could throw back in. MVP Promotions wasn't there when Jake Paul fought Anais and Gibb. It wasn't. Bro, it wasn't. But it's there after what? By the time he fights Tommy Fury, it's a buildup. So, like, I think Jake Paul really doesn't care about himself as the fighter. He already has a loss. He's not going to be a world champion. If anything, he'll fight for an interim or something like that because there's the right money behind it and it's the right guy. But, he morally cares about, like, the promotion aspect of it and the promoting the fighters he has, especially the female fighters. That's genius. That's true. He's a genius marketer. Appreciate you, champ. I appreciate you. Forgetting. Jake Paul only fight those that no longer have integrity. Jake Paul's WWE boxing. That's a good analogy. Jake Paul, that's a good analogy because it's a show, it's business, it's showmanship at the end of the day. If Crawford would have fought more frequently, he probably would have been up there with Floyd. Yeah, man, you gotta think, man, Canelo fought 16 times in 1 year. You know what I'm saying? That's going out the country. That's fighting in USA, Mexico, that's fighting all these places. So, Crawford fought, man, and he fought tough fights. He fought the best fighters. And by the time he fought Spence, people were trying to clown his resume. And at this point, you really can't clown his resume. He's done it. He's really done it. He will never fight in a real boxing promotion. Who will never fight in a real boxing promotion? You mean Jake Paul? Jake Paul won't fight in a real boxing promotion? Because, he won't. I think the closest he'll get is when the money, he fights enough, he's going to eclipse the right fight. He won't fight no one. He's not going to fight like Jai Opetaia or Zerdo, but he'll fight like a big name, I think, at some point. You got to think he's fighting Tank, right? So it's like, it's almost there, but he don't really care about himself as a fighter. It's just like a facade. It's good because it so brings the eyes to boxing, but it funnels for his promotion. Crawford may be the best, no doubt. About Davis, right again. It's come down to these 2 pound for pound. About Davis. You're saying I was right about Davis again? Gervonta Davis? Crawford may be the best, no doubt. It come down to these 2 pound for pound. Yeah, man. I'm just saying those. But if you ask me, Jerome Boots Ennis belongs in the pound for pound. That's a hot take people are ready for. It really is, and I'll argue that to the day I die. If people don't agree, you're more than welcome to definitely put it in the chat and say, "Yo, man, I don't agree with this," or "What's your opinion on this?" Like, feel free to, by means, you know what I'm saying, really use the chat. I really do think a guy like Jerome Boots Ennis should be the pound for pound. And I think Jesse Rodriguez is an underrated fighter too. I think Jesse Rodriguez is an undefeated fighter. Boots beats Bud by points. I think Boots is the hardest fight for Terrence Crawford. Really do so. And the same way we already post our Canelo predictions are posted. It's facts. I said Crawford was going to win by decision. I said it was going to go a distance. I said Crawford was going to frustrate the hell out of Canelo. I said how that was going to happen. And I'll tell you how Boots and Crawford will play out. Boots will actually be so much more of a frustrating fighter for Terrence Crawford because solely off his versatility. It's his versatility. Errol Spence is one-dimensional, and I hate to say it, but he's definitely one-dimensional. He works inside and works off the jab. Once Crawford eliminated that jab, he had nothing else to do. You get what I'm saying? Canelo always struggled, the same way Caleb Plant struggles with Mexican fighters, Canelo always struggled with elusive, versatile, quick fighters. Mayweather arguably lost against Arislandi Lara. Quick, strong, elusive, powerful guys he always struggled with. Obviously, what will happen with Crawford? You get what I'm saying? Crawford is going to verse someone who's at his level in versatility. Orthodox southpaw, they can switch it up. Power for power, speed for speed. IQ for IQ, I will call it at that. I'm telling you, Boots is his hardest fight, and that fight goes the distance. I think it's even a split decision. I think it's a split decision. I give it to Boots. Like I said, Paul will only fight those who have no integrity. They just want to get paid. So they sign up for these scripted. Yeah, I mean, I can't say for what's scripted or not. Like, I never want to say anything's really rigged, to be honest with you. I like the sport a lot. I don't want to say anything's, like, ever really rigged. But, you know, these fights are, like, almost one side to where it's like, you know who really is going to win. That's fair to say. There's a favorite. There's a favorite for sure. You know, like, all right, this dude's going to win. But I'll tell you what, man. I don't know the rules yet on Gervonta Davis or Paul. I've always heard speculation on headgear or time, whatever. I do think Tank wins, but I think Tank also wins, not in the knockout fashion that we see Tank, but I'll tell you it like this. Even though Jake Paul has every size advantage on God's green earth, you still need the one thing he does not have. It's boxing IQ. Here's the problem with Tank. Yes, he might be outsized in every facet, shape, or form. Tank has a gas tank that's everlasting, and Jake Paul has a gas tank for 4 rounds. 4 to 5 rounds. And that's versing someone who can actually fight. You're about to verse someone who can actually fight and go. Tank can box 24 rounds, no problem. You get what I'm saying? Jake Paul gets gassed by rounds 5 or 6 fighting nobodies. And I don't want to say nobodies as in names. I'm saying just nobody in the boxing world. So imagine fighting a guy who can go forever. All Tank's going to do is play with him, take him to deep waters, and work the hell out the body. All he has to do is work the hell out the body and walk into deep waters. It's a TKO victory for Tank. Honestly. Like, Tank isn't going to lose the fight. If it's a real fight where it counts on the record, Tank's not losing. I take him by TKO. He'll take him to deep waters and just touch the hell out the body. And it's not that he's just going to knock him out like he did Leo Santa Cruz, but like I said, he's just going to walk him down, and Jake Paul ain't going to be able to go no more. The money from this fight will go to distance. Canelo versus Trout was a good one until a knockdown. It's facts. It was still a good fight. Davis win in 5 or 6. I'll give honestly Davis 6 or 7. Put a show on for the people. Go a little deep. Take it far enough. Take it just far where it's like far enough. And it's like, oh shit. And then end it. You get what I'm saying? Take it forward. It's like, yo, he really going this far? Psych. And then pull it back. Dial it back. All right. He gets him out of there. You know what I mean? Jake Paul should fight Roy Jones or Andre Ward. I mean, he fight Tyson, so I guess Jones would make sense. But Roy Jones ain't stepping back in that ring. He's not. He's a coach now. He's a coach. He's doing his thing. He does coaching and a lot of other stuff. I'm sure he does. So that would Andre Ward make sense for him to come back at this point compared to what everyone else is doing. But Jake Paul versus Andre Ward ain't a good fight. That's not a good sale. In theory, because if you're a boxing fan, you know Andre Ward, all that stuff. But if you're trying to think sale to the masses, Paul versus Andre Ward isn't a sale to the masses like Gervonta Davis. Each fight Jake Paul does becomes a sale to the masses because of what it does. You get what I'm saying? Like, when even before Tyson, because Mike Tyson's just obvious. Even before that, the Tommy Fury build-up, that took many years, and it became a thing because Jake Paul's fighting a real fighter. And then everyone else is like, you're fighting celebrities from other sports, but I'm interested to see how it plays out, all that other stuff, whatever. I don't even feel like explaining it. Jake Paul and Wilder. Deontay. I think Deontay should hang it up. I think his best years are behind him. I think Deontay finally boxing caught up to Deontay in a sense where it's like, you can't just rely on that brute strength, my guy. You really need boxing IQ in that, you know, for 90% of Wilder's career, he relied just straight off brute strength. Because, like, I'm not going to say that he's everyone else is weak, but if that motherfucker cracked me with an overhand right, I'm falling like a sack of potatoes. Facts. But I think 90% of his career, he just went off brute strength. And when it came down to fighting guys where he needed the boxing IQ and the stuff that the elites really display, he lost. Lost to Tyson, lost to Zhang. He was just losing to every guy where it's like, all right, you can't rely on brute strength against these guys. You need a little bit more. Jake Paul versus Wilder, I still don't think that fight happens. I don't think it's a good sell to the masses, especially since Deontay Wilder's hype dried out. You know, you think Jake make heavyweight? That would be nice, but a good undercard. I think Jake will touch heavyweight. I think he can make heavyweight. Sure. Where is he right now? 225, 230. I think he can make heavyweight. He's already 220. I think for the right fight, for the right payday, the right matchup, the right build-up and card, he'll do a heavyweight fight for sure. I don't think Jake Paul really proves himself because in that division, the only guy I see him maybe beating that's a big name, and again, maybe beating, I still have to think about it. Andy Ruiz. And I'm saying a big name in the heavyweight division where it's a big name and it's like, okay. Now I'm saying like Andy Ruiz. What about John Jones versus Jake Paul? Now we're just throwing every other matchup. What about real boxing matchups? We have real boxing matchups in the actually, I can't get mad. I can't get mad because I asked for mad. I asked for y'all. All right, I wasn't getting mad. But I'm saying what about some real boxing matchups? But I do like to entertain some of these sometimes. I think I want to see John Jones. John Jones beats anybody. You say John Jones for somebody, I'm saying John Jones. But boxing, I don't know. I wonder if John Jones ever do a boxing fight at this point. But John Jones, that's the most badass motherfucker. He's the most dangerous man on God's green earth. Now he's gun mastered. Now he's bow mastered. That dude's the most dangerous man on the green earth. What was a good card? What was it? A card I mentioned? I forget. What's a good card? But like, what else y'all got? What else y'all think? What other matchups y'all want to see? What are dream matchups? You know what I'm saying? Y'all would want to see. Like other dream matchups that's like, yo, that's a good draw. That's a good card. That's a good fight I want to see. I'm telling you right now, Boots going to make a lot of them happen soon. That's my guy for real. I like him. Good fighter. Good fighter. Good fighter. I got his... Whatever. I'm not even on that right now. But, honestly, this fight, I might even screw around and go, but tickets will still be too high to go for me to even get tickets for this fight. Jake versus Rodriguez. Which Rodriguez? I'm drawing a blank. The only Rodriguez I can think of right now is Bam. But that's flyweight. Which Rodriguez? I'm drawing a blank. Jake versus who? I want to see Bivol Benavidez. That's a good matchup. Bivol versus Benavidez. That's a very good matchup. Those are some brawler fights. See, Benavidez, if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, he has the height and length advantage. You know, I think that's what gives Bivol trouble is that reach. and walking into the long jab and the straight right and some power shots. But Bivol works through that because if Benavidez couldn't put Bivol down or Canelo, I don't think Benavidez does. So I think Bivol can get in and really, and Morrell couldn't put Benavidez couldn't. Yeah, man. I think he can work his way in for a victory. I would take Bivol in that matchup. I would take Bivol against Benavidez. I would take Bivol. Shakur versus Tank. Shakur versus Tank is a fight we may never get at this point. I still have I'm 30% the fight will happen. I'm still 30%. I think if Tank makes a big bag from this fight. Can y'all still hear me good if I take that out? I think if Tank gets a big enough bag, I think there's still draw for that fight. There's still draw for the fight. I think he might be like, all right, I got my bag, I got money, I got more, whatever it is. I think he might do it. Tank versus Shakur, I think is Tank's most frustrating fight because of how defensively sound Shakur is and how patient he is. You won't catch him jumping inside. You won't catch him jumping or reaching. And that's what a lot of times Tank gets you on. So I think it's Tank's most frustrating fight. I think if Tank catches Shakur, it could be trouble. I think Shakur poses the best chance at beating Tank. Although I'm still taking Gervonta in that fight. I still say Tank wins. Because I do think at some point, one way or another, Tank catches you. But like I said, it's his most frustrating fight. But I'm taking Tank. Oh, Jake versus Andy? Yeah, man, I think Jake Paul versus Andy Ruiz is the right heavyweight that is a big elite name, but Jake Paul has the best chance of beating. And I'm not even saying he does. I'm saying it's a good chance. Teofimo is supposed to fight Shakur. See, that's still a good matchup. That's still a good matchup, you know? But what type of Teofimo are you going to get in that fight is a question. Which Teo shows up? You get what I mean? Is it the Teo that fought Loma or is it the Teo that fought Cambosos? That's such a toss-up. That's why I lean on Shakur. Because Shakur is consistent across the line. Defensively sound. Teofimo's going to try that movement, the showboating movement and elusiveness and all that good stuff. And, the crowd wonder stuff. But I think those fights, man, I take Shakur. I still take Shakur. Because, again, it's what Teofimo are you going to get? What tier? I think that the middleweight divisions are what's rising, man. I think realistically that Boots and Virgil Ortiz fight needs to happen. I think, honestly, if I'm being for real, if Terrence Crawford should fight any Charlo, it's Jamal Charlo. Let's be honest. They're in the same division. And Charlo's he's what, ranked number 2, number 1 at this point in WBA. Fight for the strap at super middleweight. Now, if you want to fight any Charlo, you should fight Maul. Just saying, you should fight Maul. And the reason why it's a big draw there, 2 undefeated fighters clashing head-to-head for a world title in the same division. A classic would have been Pacquiao versus Lomachenko when they were younger. A classic now because of who they are. So I like your point, Damon. I'm not going to say you're wrong. Because I don't want to respond to someone who can't, physically respond back. But, because you can only text, really. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm telling you your statement's wrong. But I feel like, are you saying that more so because of what their career is already established? You get what I'm saying? Because if they fought when they were younger, you could say Loma didn't achieve enough, maybe. And he was just a rising name to fight Pacquiao. You get what I'm saying? But looking at it now on paper, oh yeah, that's the great matchup because of after how their careers finished. You know what I'm saying? But I look at that matchup like Crawford versus Boots, where Pacquiao's Crawford and Loma is Boots. It's like you got a guy who's a really good matchup, but you won't fight because he's either dangerous, but he didn't achieve nothing enough yet. He didn't do enough or fight enough yet. You get what I'm saying? Like, Boots was getting that because he was stalled out in the 147 division, but he's fighting who he can fight for who was fighting him at 147. And then Crawford still dipped. And then Spence still dipped. So it's like, but no, you are right. Both are excellent fighters. Both are excellent fighters for sure. And I still say Lomachenko got robbed against Devin Haney. Call for it is, but Lomachenko definitely got robbed against Devin Haney. So that's facts. That's what sucks. I think he won. I think he should have been undisputed. And honestly, they could have had a part two. I think Loma should have won. It was close enough to call for a comeback. It was going to be a rematch anyway if Loma won. And then whatever happens from that fight happens in that fight. But I think Lomachenko won that fight. I think he did enough to win. Yeah, again, I don't think Devin Haney did enough as the undisputed champ to win. You know? Bro, if Mayweather would win Crawford at his prime, it's a good hot take. It's a good hot take. And I think you're correct. I do think you're correct. Because I think it's this, man. I think it's too much of the same fighter that the most experienced one wins. If that makes sense. If my statement made sense. Like, they're too much of the same. But, like, and Crawford can go southpaw, which is cool. But, like, Mayweather, man, I still take him by the points and maybe a split decision. I agree with you. I agree with you. People talk about Mayweather because his fights either took too long to have. Like, think about it. The first fight, this fight, the first one, took 5 years too long. Especially if Mayweather's his own boss, all this other stuff. But Mayweather definitely took a couple of years too long. For sure, to fight Pacquiao. But here's what people don't understand. Pretty Boy Floyd fought. And he fought people. He fought the guys, and he got in the mix with them and went to Pretty Boy Floyd banged it out. Money Mayweather was kind of like, all right, I'm not getting hit. I'm more defensively sound. But he was also fighting the right guys at the right time to a degree at the end of his career. If you get what I'm saying. Like I said, this fight took 5 years too long to happen. It really did. And then by the time we got it, it wasn't the best product. It really wasn't. The fight where it really could have happened was a couple of years sooner when it was legitimately the best offensive fighter versus the best defensive fighter. I think we just got the fight a little too late for the type of product we were delivered. I'm not saying the outcome would have changed, but I'm trying to establish why. I'm trying to establish what you said about Mayweather. So again, I'm just trying to clarify that statement. And then he was fighting the right guys at the right time. So it was like, there's where the hate really gets in, you know? Especially since he had the mouth to say otherwise. Hand of Stone. I appreciate you, my man. Thank you, champ. I really appreciate that, my guy. Thank you. Thank you. That's what's up. I appreciate the support. You know, we're just trying to just do our thing. So I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. What do you think about the fights upcoming? What do you think about some of these boxing fights being done? Some of these up-and-coming fights and stuff. What do you think? Do you have any fan favorites? Do you guys have any fighter favorites? Who are some of your fighter favorites I didn't even mention? Do you have fighters you're a fan of, but I didn't even mention them yet? The people I'm stalling out on mentioning, because we kind of talk about the same people. Matchups you want to see. Or where you guys watch boxing? Are you guys from like London, England? Now, boxing's a global sport, man. I mean, other sports are, but boxing is like crazily global, where fights happen every weekend in every different country. Where you guys from? Where you watch the fights? Boots and Devin, man, Teo versus Shakur need to happen. I think Shakur and Tank really needs to happen too. Boots and Devin Haney, the weakest links. Boots, you call Boots a weak link? To what? Hold on, J Money, I need you to clarify that statement. Let's see if Davis can KO Paul. Hand of Stone, I think Davis TKOs Paul. I think he takes Jake Paul just long enough. Hear me out with this fight. Javante wins because Javante has what Jake Paul doesn't. Boxing IQ. Jake Paul has every attribute in the world against Gervonta Davis, but it means shit if you don't know how to use it and you don't know boxing. Gervonta can run miles around Jake Paul. He will take him just long enough to where people be like, yo, this is going that long, and then Davis will end it. He's gonna work the body like crazy. Jake Paul does not have a gas tank, and he's just gonna plummet from there. Let's see if Davis can. Oh, I already read that one. I'm sorry. Boots versus Devin Haney, the weakest links. I need the clarification on that because Boots would crack Devin Haney. Pause. I'm in Miami, but man, boxing fell off once again. See, Kevin? Well, shout out to Miami. I used to have an apartment in Coral Gables and been out of there, so I got love for South Florida. I know that's not Miami, but it's close. I know Coral Gables is close to Brickell, whatever. But you know what I'm saying. Shout out to you. But I don't think boxing fell off again. I think boxing is still trending in the upwards direction. We just came off of Crawford versus Canelo. So year after year, boxing is providing a great quality matchup. Whether it's Crawford versus Spence, Eubank versus Ben was a very good fight. That fight was fucking nuts, and it does not get talked about enough. That was a brawl. You had that fight. We're going to get it again. We're going to get a part 2. You had, it wasn't the product. You can call it what you want, but the build-up and the draw aspect was big. Tank versus Ryan Garcia. That was massive promotion. Crawford versus Canelo. I think boxing's still a good trend. Yes, sir. Facts. Crawford couldn't stop Madrimov. That's why he's the worst fight of his career. Mayweather would have exposed him. That's a good point. That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think about that even. Yes, sir. Too much hype with Boots. Chewing up to go one weight class. Duck Virgil. Duck Norman. See here, J Money. I don't think he ducked Virgil. You got to think. When they were in the 147 division, it was Errol Spence who had the 3 belts. Terrence Crawford had the WBO belt. And Virgil Ortiz was the #1 contender in that division for all 4 sanctioned bodies. And Jerome Boots Ennis was #2. The reason why those two don't fight is because we need to see the master class undisputed bout of Crawford and Spence. By that time, Virgil already dipped up to 154. And then when Boots was ready for the fight, the outcome of the winner, both them guys vacated. So Boots is a high-level prospect, but again, people won't fight Boots. He took a pay cut to fight Stanionis, who was an undefeated world champion, and he took a unification. But you got to think, no one's calling out Brian Norman or Mario Barrios for selling out. They sold out instead of trying to fight Boots for unification. How do I say this? Why do I say this? Because Boots kept announcing he was at the end of his run at 147. He naturally walks around at 185, 190, and he's like, it was kind of put out there a little bit. It wasn't crazily announced. But Brian Norman accepts a fight for Devin Haney, who's coming up in weight, hasn't done nothing in the welterweight division. And then Barrios somehow lands a fight with this guy? 5 years retired? They sold out. They got paid. They're going to get paid a bag. Either got paid a bag or going to get paid a bag. And Mario Barrios did a legacy thing where wherever he fights again, this guy's name's always attached to it. So it's future promotion and bigger pay. People won't fight Boots. It's not that he fought a tune-up. Lima was still an IBO world champion. So in some degree, in the face of boxing, he's a world champion. He's fighting guys overseas and got a world title. So there's credibility in that victory. I don't even know why they didn't even fight for the IBO. Boots could have had the IBO and the interim, but he fought for the interim instead. But I don't know how that talk played out. You get what I'm saying? But and Boots, Virgil Ortiz is going to happen in 2026. I said it in other live streams. That prediction has been stamped. That fight is 1,000% happening in 2026. But who is he going to fight next? I want him to fight Crawford, but he ain't going back down. I think if Crawford decides to go back down and fight a guy like Charlo, who's at 154, he has to fight Boots. He should fight Boots. He wouldn't fight Boots because Boots is still young and dangerous. That's the only reason why he wouldn't fight Boots. He ducked, bro. Boots not proven. 24 rounds versus Karen. You got to understand, man. You can say 24 rounds versus Karen. That's cool. But those guys from like Russia and Dagestan are built like sheet metal. They're built like steel. Lomachenko's, the Triple G's. You know what I'm saying? The U6, like, Karen may not be a no name because he's from that realm of the world, but don't mean he's not tough. Like, he's built. And you got to think, Boots still knocked him down. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not about always the performance. You get what I'm saying? We're always going to call this guy the GOAT of all time, but he got knocked out by Marquez in a fight he was winning. You get what I'm saying? But it's not because Boots went so long with some guy. It's because, yo, those guys from that region are naturally just steel. Bevo. Like, I can keep adding guys from Russia, that whole area. Those guys are built, they are steel. And a lot of times it's money, man. Boots Ennis has no reason to run from nobody. He really doesn't. He has the biggest promoter in the world. Let's be honest. And for real, the amount of money he made on Stanionis for a unification bout in a Ring magazine to fight another undefeated world champion is pennies just to fight a rollover. You get what I'm saying? It's like he can get a million fights getting 7-figure bags. Bro, I'm telling you, you don't just call out these guys that you're calling out, but won't accept to fight them. Boots has no reason to run. No reason to run. When the Crowley fight was announced, Crowley was gonna get paid $300 grand. He told them no, and that was too little to fight Boots. Bro, you gotta be kidding. You know what I'm saying? Usyk needs to go back down and fight J.O. Patea. There is no one for him at heavyweight. That's why I think Usyk can hang it up. No one there. I agree with that statement. Get a job, Unk. I already got one, Pop. I already got one, man. I always find it funny. People will come on here to say get a job, but aren't you the same person on the screen? So, like, what's worse? Like, you still on the same app I'm on. So if I'm out here on this app talking and you out here on this app typing, aren't we both doing the same shit? Both on the same app. Usyk needs to go back down. Here's the thing. Usyk, you're correct. There is no one. Wow. I got so much talk down. There is no one for Usyk in heavyweight. That's a fact. But doesn't mean you go back down and fight J.O. Patea. Or Jai. I think it's called Jai, right? His name's Jai. It's still a good fight, but the money there wouldn't make sense for them, I don't think. I don't think the right buildup would be there because Usyk is such a renowned heavyweight at this point. To drop a weight class, it's like the buildup wouldn't be there for those guys to really sign the deal. I don't see it happening. I think Usyk can hang it up, and he's one of the best heavyweights of all time, honestly. I think he can... Yeah, happily call their career. And you got to think, man, everyone he's beaten, he's given the licks back. Think about how many people that win and you never see the rematch. You never get the rematch. And it just never happens. And it's always like, oh, every time Usyk beats somebody, all right, bro. And then he'll do it again. It's crazy. He does it again. The outcome doesn't change. You don't bet against that guy. You just don't bet against that guy. Are you saying Moses are you saying Moses versus Usyk? What are your thoughts on Brian Norman versus Devin Haney? A lot of public think Haney will get knocked out. I think it's a sellout. I think Brian Norman should have fought Boots. I'll always say that. But I do think... Listen, since Devin Haney had that fight against Ryan, look how he fought Barbosa on that New York card in Times Square. He just bounced around. Devin Haney, that was the only fight we've seen since Ryan, and the way he just galloped around that ring says Devin Haney does not want to get touched like that no more. He does not want to risk getting hit. I think he fights like that against Norman, and he will not get knocked out. I see that fight playing the distance because, one, you got to think Haney's also going up in weight. So he's going to fight at a higher weight division, so he's not going to want to risk anything. He technically still has his O, so you're not going to fight inside on a guy who can catch you the same way Ryan did and land power. I also think if 3 left hooks from Ryan Garcia can put Devin on his ass and still get him up, I don't think Brian Norman's knocking him out. Fighting at a heavier weight, being more hydrated. I don't think if Ryan Garcia's 3 left hooks on his chin can put him out, I don't think Norman will. And I think Haney's going to fight too safe where he can fight technical and still get the victory, if that makes sense. Might just land a jab. Devin Haney is trash. Only good footwork. The pop. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. I'm not a Devin Haney fan. I'm not born. All right, hold on. I got to watch what I say as a boxing media personality, if you want to call it, for what I'm doing in the sport. Because I'll be quick to say what I really like. I just quick to say things, and for what it's worth, it probably could get clipped anyway. But I'm just not a Devin Haney fan. I don't want to say he's like a bad person. But yeah, man, if I were to look at it, I'm just not bought into that yet, man. If it's Shakur, I think Shakur beats Devin. If it's Tank, I think Tank beats Devin. I thought Loma beat Devin. What are we talking about right now? Brian Norman? I think Devin beats Brian Norman. I do think that. I do give Devin Haney Brian Norman because I think Devin Haney is not only more experienced than Norman, but also has fought more elite than Brian Norman. So he's seen more. He's seen better. You get what I'm saying? More elevated competition that can provide Devin Haney more of a masterclass on Brian. So I think Devin Haney beats Brian Norman. I think this whole resume combined from experience, IQ. That's where I side with Devin Haney. I'm picking Devin Haney. Got Go Me PC. Go. I'm sorry, Sai. I can't really understand. I can't make out your message. I can't make out your chat. Yeah, I think Haney bounces around, man. I think Haney bounces around. And for Haney to put that message out there that he would fight Boots, but he would have fought Boots at, 147, but not 152? BS. Lousy-ass excuse. Lousy excuse. Talk about you want to fight Boots, but only at 147, knowing he's at the end of his 147 run. But Haney, you can make 152, bro. You can. You can. You're choosing not to. Why you have to fight at 147? At that point, what's 5 pounds? You want to go up to fight this guy anyway, even though he's announcing his, you know what I'm saying? He's not even asking you to come to 154. He's saying, all right, bro, I'll fight you at 152, but I'm not killing myself for 147 no more. You get what I'm saying? So it's you know what I mean? So it's is what it is. His only good win is against Regis. Good win, sure. Because, he beat Loma. So if you want to talk about name-wise, well, what did you think about the fight against Cambosos? Because Regis progress, man, even when he lost against Devin Haney, his other performances weren't the best. Shut your bitch ass up. Shut your bitch ass up. That's what he said. Shut your bitch ass up. Yeah. Sir, yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. His only good fight is against Regis. But, I mean, because Loma Haney was a good fight. But I still think Loma won. I think y'all Boots would have rolled through him. Yo, man, he has a good smile, bro. Don't hate on my guy. Don't hate on my guy. He don't age, man. He don't age. He look the same way every time. He don't age. He don't age. But what y'all thinking, man? What y'all thinking? We've been out here for an hour. I think it's almost time to pop on off. Maybe do some more hot takes. I'll be dropping more hot takes. I already dropped 2 of them. I might drop more hot takes tomorrow after work. I try to get onto this stuff after work. Okay, I have to ask Mayweather versus Tyson. I appreciate the ask. That's a money draw exhibition. That's just money grabbing. Floyd wins. Floyd wins. Tyson ain't there no more, man. Like, everyone was preying on the old Mike Tyson of old, but at the end of the day, Father Time catches up to you. You get what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, it catches up, and there's no draw there for that fight. I think that's why this one quickly got announced by Mike Coppinger in Ring. Like, he's just not there. Everyone was so... And people didn't understand, man. Those reels that you see, those Instagram videos you see of, like, Mike Tyson firing off is probably, like, 2 hours in the gym. Nadine, how are you? What up, Nadine? I appreciate you tuning in. Where you get those videos, it's like 2 hours in the gym, and then, all right, Mike, I need the best 10 seconds of you doing this. All right, Mike, I need the best 10 seconds of you doing this, editing it and throwing it together. That's where you get that. And then that's where you get the Mike Tyson of the name of who he is and his history and legacy versus a guy like Jake Paul. Then that's when you get the draw and build-up you got. But that's why I take this fight 10 times over 10 over fights like Paul versus Tyson or Paul versus Tank and all those other fights. Nelson Francesco, what up, champ? What up? How are you? What's going on? What's going on? This is a great live. I appreciate everyone who's tuning in, who's staying in. I appreciate y'all. Dead ass, honestly. This is a dope live. This is some good talk. This is some good boxing talk. We've done other live streams where we carried an audience, but there wasn't as much engagement. So Hand of Stone, you know what I'm saying? Gotchin, 1249. If I said that right, I know I probably didn't. Mark Money. I appreciate y'all. For sure, you know, even Jay Money tapping in. Like, I appreciate y'all typing. This is a dope chat. This is a dope talk for sure. This is some dope talk. This is some dope talk. That didn't even make sense. This is some dope boxing talk. There we go. See, I had to catch myself. I catch myself. Give me a second or two and I'll catch myself. I swear it's like the ADHD in me. You know what I mean? Like, I swear. It's definitely like the ADHD in me, where I just be talking, I be overthinking more than I can say sometimes. But that's what happens. You get me going on a topic like this. Like, I like this type of topic. I like these type of talks. You know what I mean? And I'll be going live tomorrow too. Tomorrow night I'll be going live. I can't tell you when. If I tell you when, I'll do you a disservice. I run a gym, so it's whenever I can leave. But I will be going live tomorrow. That's a fact. But I mean, Haney won Loma, but he didn't really win. Kambosos is even trash. No technique and footwork. I agree with both them statements. Did y'all hear that? Ghost. I agree with both them statements. I don't even think I have to elaborate. I don't even want to steal a thunder on elaborating for real. Read that. I agree. Can I pin this? I'll pin that message. That's something I don't even want to elaborate on, so I don't even want to take away from that. You know what I'm saying? For someone else who said it. Because then it's going to look like I'm the one who talked about it. You're the one that said it. And I agree with that statement. That is factual. That is highly factual for sure. Because you got to think. I'm not even going to speak on Kambosos because that's fact. Because once Kambosos lost all the belts, he lost every fight. Now I wouldn't say he's supposed to win, but he just lost every big fight after that. Not elite. Why? Bro, because that was the talking point of the live stream. This is how the live started. We're talking about this matchup and why I would take this matchup for what it is versus everything else we're getting. You know what I'm saying? But he said, why do you have? That's funny. But that's why. It was the start of our live stream that went in 30 million different directions. You know what I'm saying? Mayweather and his dad, that's it. Rolling knocked Devin out. Yo, that's actually a good fight. And the reason why I say it's a good fight, because both of those guys could win. Yo. And if you asked me that statement, if you told me about that fight a year ago, I would have said Devin Haney would beat Romero. But from what Ryan did to Devin and what Romero did to Ryan, I'm like, yo, that's an even fight. That's a 50-50 fight right there, Haney versus Romero. That's funny. Do I think Joseph Parker can win in a rematch in Wardley? Let me be honest with you, and let me not bullshit you. I did not see the first fight, so I don't know how it played out. So it's obvious Joseph Parker lost, based off your question. The way I will answer this question is I like to say every fighter has a puncher's chance. A fighter's chance. I'll give everyone that. That's how I'm going to answer your question, Hand of Stone. And the reason why, again, I'm answering that, I simply did not see the first fight. And I don't want to come on here and I don't want to answer your question and give you some BS or try to think of one. Yeah, Parker's good at X, Y, and Z, so I think if he does it, nope. I think he has a fighter's chance. If that answers your question good enough. Like, if that, I hope that's a sufficient answer. Rolly versus Haney was, Rolly versus Haney, a great fight. Yeah, bro, it's low-key an even fight. It's actually kind of even. It's crazy. Because if you dial it back a few years ago, I'm saying Haney wins. Not like by knockout, but by decision, by points. Because at one point in time, I really didn't think Romero was good at all. Like, he was just because of... Sometimes I feel like it's your character. Not even sometimes. It's always your character that keeps you where you're at. Think of how Conor McGregor, like the mouth, like Mayweather, like Romero could never speak. But he was always a character and he could draw views because of the shit he says and how he sounded when he said it. So it's like Romero was getting big matchups just because of his character. It wasn't even because he was a great boxer. And then he got that robbery win against Barrios. And then he got that robbery save. That you know what I'm saying? Ismael Barroso. Or I can't even say the name, but you know what I'm talking about. And then it's like, then you actually had a good fight against Ryan Garcia, of all people, where I didn't expect you to win. So it's like, oh shit. And then Devin Haney had that shit performance. Then he had that horrible performance in Times Square. So it's like, yeah, it's an even fight. We're Pittsburgh kid, Paul Spadafora. Fun facts, Paul Spadafora was our last promotional card. He was at our two promotions we did. Paul Spadafora was there, and he was hitting on one of the security guards, and he almost kicked him out of the venue. Kind of funny. He was working one of the corners of the fighters. That's how I met Paul. But would he have beaten Floyd? No. To answer your question, Michael, no, I don't think so. I feel like Pitbull, even though he is not technical, he has grit and good combos and power. He might be able to win. Pitbull isn't technical. Pitbull is like a mini Canelo. Canelo's more technical than Pitbull. But when I say that, I'm saying they both walk like this, stocky, sturdy as hell, and just hit you with some shit. So it's like, he's like a mini compact version of Canelo. Because you're right, he ain't technical, but he walks in with some power. He might have a good chance against Shakur. I think Shakur's very good with the and it hit the body, but move. Because Shakur is quick. Pitbull is heavy. So it's like, you trying to throw this, I can just see Core doing stuff where he goes up, 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 and touch the body low with a two, but pop out. I think Shakur still wins off decision. Because, again, the patience and the defense. But I do exactly see your point and what you're trying to say there. Oh, I get what you're saying. I understand. I understand the frustration, man. It's I also honestly, truthfully think in that first fight, man, Manny didn't fight the way he should have fought. For the best defensive versus the best offensive fighter, Manny was a lot more defensive for the fight. He was more defensive than what he should have been. I just don't think he fought the right game plan versus Mayweather. Again, I feel the fight happened 5 years too late. He could have made it happen sooner. He really could have, but I think the fight happened still late. But I think when Manny finally got to fight him, he didn't fight. The game plan wasn't correct. I think Manny was too defensive against a guy like Mayweather. And for a guy like Mayweather, all he has to do is do his thing, land a couple jabs, and that's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? And that's a bona fide wrap. So it's like, I just don't think he had the right game plan. But hey, I'm excited to see if this fight could really happen. If this fight can really happen, what will it mean? You know what I'm saying? What can happen now? Pacquiao ain't look half bad at all against Barrios. Ryan, what up, champ? Ryan, is it Ryan or Ryan? What's going on, champ? What's going on? We here to talk some boxing, baby. We here to talk some boxing. We are here to talk some boxing. Definitely subscribe too. I would love, you know what I'm saying, for the next one's coming. Y'all definitely to come back because it would go insane if he were to pull off an upset. But I don't know how this fight would really play out though. If they're gonna add any rules or make it exhibition styled. Really don't know if they'll make it more exhibition style because of the age factor and stuff. The reason why I don't see it doing that is because he still stayed active with the exhibitions and he just fought an actual real sanctioned boxing match. And the age factor, they're so far up there in age that it's not like he's in his 20s or young mid 30s trying to fight an old retired Mayweather, And they both fought each other before. So I actually see a high chance of it being a really sanctioned fight. Errol was such a good fighter, but after the accident, shout out to Errol Spence because he was our favorite fighter coming up. Never thought we would have met him. And we got to interview him on several different factors, or occasions, especially Crawford versus Spence. So shout out to Errol Spence. After he lost, I believe, but still, I think Crawford's going to win. Oh, yeah, Styles makes fights. That's another. This man knows boxing. Yeah, Gotchman, you know boxing, bro. You do. I got to pin that message. That's another factual statement. He cooked up something with that one. I do think Crawford would have won because of his versatility. But I do see what you say. But the only reason why that holds me back from it is because of Spence's performance versus Yordenis Ugas after the eye surgery. Because that was still Spence post-eye surgery and post-accident. And Ugas was coming over that electric victory over Manny Pacquiao. And Ugas is still a dangerous Cuban fighter. And Cubans are naturally dangerous fighters. The thing is, Crawford did what no one else was able to do against Spence. Eliminate the game plan. Eliminate the jab. Take away his jab and the ability to work inside. He did that, and you saw a very flustered, camp on Spence's side. I won't even say flustered at Errol Spence, but Derek James, they have no, there was no like, oh shit, like we lost this. We need to go do this. We need to switch up. We need to make an adjustment. No adjustments were made. Crawford successfully took the number one arsenal from Spence. No one else was able to do that. Against you guys, Spence fought inside all night. You get what I'm saying? He fought inside. Against every fighter where he won, Spence utilized that jabbing, worked inside. Errol Spence is still a great fighter. Honestly, fight Boots, man, at 154. That's still a good fight. Fuck it. Who cares? Fight Boots. That was a biased statement on my end. Let me make that very clear. That was a biased statement on my end. That was a biased statement. A biased statement for sure. But nonetheless, Robert Aiken, what's up, Robert? How are you? Robert Aiken, what's going on, champ? But nonetheless, everybody, this is the one live stream I never wanted to hang up. I don't want to hang up at all. I actually don't want to hang it up, but unfortunately, guys, I do have work at 6 a.m. tomorrow. It's very late. I'm on the East Coast. I will have to wrap it up. I think Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman very soon. Who knows, man? Fundora Fundora got hurt. I think they're going to make that match happen first, though. But that's actually a tough matchup. That's actually a good matchup to get. Spence versus Thurman. He and Gervonta is my favorite fighting style. I actually have a one-on-one picture of Gervonta Davis and Calvin Ford that I took off my camera at the press conference of Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. Calvin Ford's going to get it. I'm going to ship it to him because I already talked to him and exchanged numbers. But next time I go to an event where I know they're going to be there, I'm going to try and get the canvas out and try and get that signed by both of them. Tap into our Instagram and I'll send you the picture I'm talking about. It's a pretty dope shot. Try and get that big-ass canvas made, get both of them to sign it. If I had it when I was in Top Rank the other night, not the other night, a couple months ago, I could have got Calvin to do it. But, guys, nonetheless, going back on what I said, this is my best live stream that we had so far, so I appreciate all of you. Hand the Stone, Gachon, 1249, J Money, you know, a lot of you guys, I appreciate you guys. Manny, Marky, some of you guys have kept tuning in. But, you know, I do have work at 6 a.m. It is early. I do appreciate y'all. I will be live tomorrow. That's a promise. I will drop more boxing content, more training content. I will be live tomorrow night at some point. I will not drop a time because it's disservicing everybody. Because I don't clock out at a normal time. I'm like, I run the gym. So I leave when I feel like everything's like good enough for me to leave. So I would say around 8, at any time after 8 p.m. Eastern time or later. I'm going to go live, talk some more boxing. Hopefully more news comes out. So I appreciate y'all. You have a good night. A bag of sand. You have a good night, champ. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have a good night, and I appreciate you for tuning in.